Okay, we've got some big updates when it comes to Nintendo Switch 2 games, specifically talking about Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, and we've got some updates on the Nintendo charts when it comes to the US and how some of your favorite games on the Nintendo Switch 2 are doing. We got an outlook on Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade and a surprise Nintendo Direct for this Sunday. But before we get into any of that, please make sure you hit that subscribe button because we are giving away a Nintendo Switch 2. Just subscribe to the channel, drop a comment below, hit the like button, notification bell. We'll be giving that away at 150,000 subscribers. And we've got a $50 eShop card that we're giving away at the end of this month, and new giveaways pretty much every single month. Okay, let's go ahead and jump right into this here because I did discuss what's happening with Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, Pokemon Legends ZA, Donkey Kong Bonanza, Kirby Air Riders, Super Mario Galaxy. We talked about that in the overall Circana best sellers for the US NPD, but I think a lot of you guys want a little bit more analysis on how Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is doing, because in the US, they don't count digital sales with the NPD sales, or more like with the Circana sales. It used to be called NPD. They don't count them. So people are wondering, wait a minute, so they don't count the digital sales. Nintendo doesn't provide that. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond actually did pretty good digitally. From what we understand, it was one of the better selling digital games because it was at the top #1 on the eShop for a number of weeks until some other games and upgrade packs and other stuff came out. And it's still within the top 10 to 15 or so on the US eShop when it comes down to that. So how's this game doing? It did number 7 on the overall charts, but it did number 2 on the Nintendo chart specifically. And I didn't go over this one, but when it comes to just the US Nintendo charts, this is what it's looking at here. I'm going to give you guys a snapshot of what we have. And what they came up with is that Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is number 2, Pokemon Legends ZA is number 1, and then you've got Donkey Kong Bonanza, Kirby Air Riders, Super Mario Galaxy plus Galaxy 2, Super Mario Party Jamboree, Mario Kart 8, Deluxe, or just more like Mario Kart 8, and they add both of them in there, but pretty much all Deluxe from the Switch 1, Sonic Racing Crossworlds, Minecraft, and Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. Interesting to see the breakdown here. A lot of the big games that came out last year seems to be what people are buying now as they're getting their Nintendo Switch 2 systems and kind of settling in on what games they want to play. Now, I did talk a little bit about Pokemon Legends ZA and how that game had a pretty long tail, because remember, that was October. So October, November, December, all throughout the 3 months there, Pokemon Legends ZA definitely kind of dominated, because November it was ranked #1 on the Nintendo Switch 2 or Nintendo charts only, and then also December it was ranked #1. But Metroid Prime 4 Beyond being number 2 is definitely good for the overall sales. Now, I don't know where it's going to end up. It's hard to kind of tell because we know that in Japan, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond didn't do great at all. And Metroid Prime doesn't ever really do great in Japan. So that's no surprise there. It's pretty much off the digital charts. It's pretty much off the physical charts. It didn't really do much there. Europe, it was definitely a little weak in places, and it's not really charting great now at this point, even in the UK and other parts of Europe. So really the bulk of people that are playing and buying Metroid Prime 4 Beyond essentially is in the US. I think that's where the concentration of players are, and usually that's what it is. When it comes to Metroid Prime, the US has always been the biggest fans of that brand of Metroid in particular. So I do think that the US can carry a bit. Nobody's really expecting, or more like you shouldn't expect, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond to be some type of huge, massive 10 million seller. That's not going to be it. But if it can reach anywhere between 2 to 3 million units lifetime, I think that would be pretty good. I mean, if it could hit 4 million units lifetime, that would be extraordinary. It's going to be tough to do without having that extra support from Japan and Europe, but it's definitely possible, especially if Nintendo is able to get some sales in here and there and kind of push it like they did with Metroid Dread, because Metroid Dread is right now the best-selling Metroid game of all time at over 3+ million units. So if they can get up to that type of level, that would be great, because Metroid Dread had more Japanese support. That sold, I think, 88,000 units plus at launch, just physical, not including digital. If you include digital and everything, it was well over 100,000 units plus right there at the launch of it. Then, of course, it sold a bit over the course of time, but still not that much, because Metroid just isn't as popular when it comes to Japan. So I do think that really focusing the sales in on the US here, I think that it's possible that it does get a bit higher there. And it's on a massive install base between the Nintendo Switch 1 and the Nintendo Switch 2. And I think as people pick up the Nintendo Switch 2, because if you're going to play a game like Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, you probably want to be able to have access to it with the 120 FPS and the 4K 60 and just like the better quality, faster loading times, all the stuff that Metroid Prime 4, what it does visually and all of that, it'd just be better to have it on the Switch 2. So I do think that there will be people that are picking up their Nintendo Switch 2s that will eventually pick up Metroid Prime 4 Beyond as well, as there's discounts here and there, retailer stuff. So I think that for right now and at this point, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is looking okay. Hopefully when we get Nintendo's quarterly sales report for October, November, and December, it shows that Metroid Prime 4 Beyond did at least 1 million units. Now that's going to be tough because it doesn't even have a full month of sales by the time that we get that report. It's just going to be from December 4th when the game launched to the end of the month. But I'm hoping that maybe it hit that 1 million in that month, because otherwise we're not going to know the sales, because if it doesn't sell 1 million within the quarter, Nintendo doesn't report on it. So I'm hoping it hit that million. It might not, or it might be close to it. But at the same time, it's good to see that it's still up on the eShop charts when it comes to the top 10, top 15-ish, and started out number 2 on the Nintendo only charts and number 7 on the overall charts. So not so bad starting out. So what do you guys think about Metroid Prime 4 Beyond? Let me know in the comment section below. Okay, we're going to move on to the next topic here, and that's going to be Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and what's happening here, and the third game. So we know that Remake just recently launched, and Remake right now, FF7 Remake Intergrade, is number 1 on the eShop in the US and in Japan. So that's exactly what Square Enix was looking for. They were looking for a boost. They were looking for extra sales. They were looking for a new audience. They were looking for more people to get into it. And that's exactly what happened with the Nintendo Switch 2. And why this is important is because it gives Square Enix the utmost confidence that when they release a Final Fantasy project, it might not sell a bazillion copies. That's okay. It doesn't need to on a Nintendo platform, especially if it's coming years down the line. Now, obviously in the future, it's going to be more day and date when it comes to future Final Fantasy projects if they want to put it out on Nintendo Switch 2. But for right now, they know that there's an audience and they can grow and build something, because they've been missing that. Over the last number of years, they've been really just going in on PlayStation, and while they did okay, it definitely reached a limit when it comes to what they can do, especially with the PlayStation 5 and the migration of JRPG or RPG players or Final Fantasy fans from the transition from PS4 to the PlayStation 5. A lot of people, especially in Japan, were like, okay, well, I'm going to go with Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2 when it comes to what I play for JRPGs or RPGs just in general. So Square Enix is noticing that. Square Enix revised their whole financial plan when it comes to where they release their games and what they're doing, and now they've pledged support to Nintendo Switch 2 for their biggest games. So to see something like Final Fantasy VII Remake come back in a way and be successful in Japan and in the US, at least initially here, that is a positive thing, and that gives me more confidence. I was already confident, but it gives me more confidence that FF7 Rebirth and FF7 Remake Part 3 are going to be quality Nintendo Switch 2 games. Now, Nintendo actually published an interview with FF7 Remake series director Naoki Hamaguchi, who reconfirmed that both of these games are coming. So let's read off what the question was and what his answer was as well, because this man is marketing the heck out of Final Fantasy right now to Nintendo fans. And I think that Nintendo fans appreciate what he's doing, because let's be real here, Square Enix kicked Nintendo fans to the curb over the last number of decades, really since the Super Nintendo, but essentially they've been all in on PlayStation until they couldn't do that anymore. So here was the question. It's been announced that other titles in Final Fantasy VII Remake trilogy are also coming to Nintendo Switch 2. What can fans expect to see from those future installments? Mr. Hamaguchi says, there's not a huge amount of information I can share in terms of future games, but I can reassure players that we're working on the Nintendo Switch 2 version of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, the second game in the series, and the third game too. They are being worked on for Nintendo Switch 2 alongside the other platforms right now. One thing to reassure the fans who want to play these games on Nintendo Switch 2, I've got a personal policy where I don't want to make any versions of my games different or offer a different gameplay experience just because they're on different hardware. That might get confusing for players, and they might wonder which version of the game they should buy. that's something I'd very much like to avoid. The Nintendo Switch 2 versions are being developed in a way that keeps the gameplay experience pretty much exactly the same as all the other platforms. So I hope this reassures Nintendo Switch 2 players. So essentially what he's saying here is that the game is structurally going to be intact. If you look at FF7 Remake Intergrade, it's the same as the PlayStation 5 version of the game, of the Xbox version of the game. The difference though is that it's in 30 FPS and the resolution is a bit altered when it comes to certain things. There might be some texture details and different stuff because of the capabilities of each system, but when you combine everything, what the game is, it's the same as the other ones. And unlike those other platforms, this one with the Nintendo Switch 2, you can take it anywhere that you want. So certain systems will have some things different, but the game is the game. And that's what he's saying here. And I think that that's great. I mean, you don't want a gimped experience overall. You don't want it to have all these different types of changes to where they have to completely rework certain things, like how Nintendo used to get the Wii versions of a game, and then here's the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 versions. They were almost different games in some sense. That's not happening here, and I think that's what he's trying to say. And it's just great, once again, that Final Fantasy is finally kind of branching out, and the fact that the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and FF7 Remake Part 3 are coming to Nintendo Switch 2, that's good. Now, Nate the Hate did state that it does seem like Rebirth is set for Xbox and Nintendo Switch 2 in 2026, so they hit us early with this one here, then maybe hit us late with FF7 Rebirth for the Switch 2, and then they announced Remake Part 3 sometime this year as well for a 2027 release. I would not be surprised if that's how it went down, but either way, good to see FF7 Remake doing well on the Nintendo Switch 2, and looking forward to seeing what they do with the future games in the franchise. So what do you guys think about FF7 Remake, FF7 Rebirth, and the third game being on Nintendo Switch 2 structurally intact? Let me know in the comment section below. Okay, we are going to move on to the last topic here, and that is going to be a surprise Nintendo Direct announced. And yes, it's a Super Mario Galaxy movie Nintendo Direct, and it's happening on Sunday, January 25th at 6 a.m. PT for a Nintendo Direct featuring an exclusive look at the Super Mario Galaxy movie. Please note that no game information will be included in this presentation, and they also give you the link to where you can watch it. You can also watch it on the Nintendo Today smartphone app or smart device app, so that's cool too. But yeah, a Sunday Direct. I think that with all these things that Nintendo are doing, I actually had a video that I ended up not putting out, but I wanted to talk about the game plan for Nintendo this year and what they plan on doing, and I might talk about it maybe more in a separate video or something. But the game plan seems to be constant engagement, constant different things, little things here and there, little stuff, and then getting ready, for the body shots and then the knockout blow coming overall. And I think that the big Nintendo Direct is that. But Nintendo, over the last number of weeks, they've put out the Mario Tennis Fever overview trailer, giving us more information on that, which people seem very excited about. They put out a free update for Donkey Kong Country Returns HD for the Switch 1 and for the Switch 2, fixing a lot of the issues that game had, plus the Mario Kart World update as well, adding the Team Knockout Tour. You also had the Super Mario Bros. Wonder Nintendo Switch 2 edition plus Bella Bell Park. They got that new trailer out, so it's just been one after another new stuff with core franchises, Mario, Donkey Kong, Animal Crossing, and then Super Mario Bros. Movie. And like I said, it's coming. The big knockout blow would be the Nintendo Direct, the first one of the year. Because remember, Nintendo usually has 3 Directs. They usually have one at the beginning, which is February or March. They have one in the summer, which is like June or July. Then they usually always have one in September. That's the Fall Direct. And they'll go over different games that a lot of the times we have no clue about. They're announced and they're dropped in the same year. When it comes to the first 2 Nintendo Directs of the year, yeah, there's sometimes games for the following year, but a lot of times the games that are announced, it'll be information on games that we didn't have much information on before, but then it'll also be information on brand new games that we didn't know about at all, or maybe were rumored, and they say, here's the game, and it's dropping right now at this point, or it's dropping in a couple different weeks or whatever. And they've done that so many times throughout Nintendo's history. Astral Chain was like that, Super Mario Bros. Wonder was like that, and just a variety of games. The last Mario and Luigi game, so it's cool. It's cool to see, and it makes things exciting throughout the year. But yeah, we've got a Super Mario Galaxy movie direct that's happening. I'm probably gonna check it out. I don't think I'm gonna stream it just because they do copyrights like crazy with the Mario movie stuff, so I'm probably not gonna stream it, but I will be watching it, and maybe I'll give my opinion in a short video on the movie with some Mario Galaxy gameplay playing or something like that, or still shots here and there. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I like the fact that they constantly are engaging when it comes to new announcements and things, and I cannot wait for when they do the Nintendo Direct. I think it's going to be a great one overall. Maybe new 3D Mario, maybe we show off the new Pokemon game that could be announced at Pokemon Day as well. So there's just so much to look forward to this year. So what do you guys think when it comes to everything that we talked about here? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch 2 RPG content and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.